Donald Trump is panicking all morning, and he has issued a full general license, an absolute waiver to Iran, allowing Iran to sell its oil and petrochemicals and other natural resources to the rest of the world using U.S. dollars. Now, Donald Trump talked a very tough game yesterday. He threatened that he was going to kill all of the Iranian negotiators. This morning, we see massive concessions coming from Donald Trump, and then he quickly turned his attention to the reflecting pool, and now they are draining the reflecting pool once again in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is blaming the algae infestation on vandals and Antifa. You can't make this stuff up. And from what we're hearing, and everybody in D.C. is saying, while they are draining this reflecting pool, people are saying they've never smelt such a noxious and disgusting smell before, between the algae, the hydrogen peroxide, and all of the lining. It's mixed to form this putrid odor that's making people want to vomit next to it. I just sincerely hope that that's the least of the problems, because, this seems like there could be major issues with all of the chemicals that were put in there. The same way I've been flagging all of the asbestos that likely exists when Donald Trump tore down the East Wing. I think we'll hear about this in years, maybe longer, about all the carcinogens in the air right outside the White House when they just tore it down like that. We're focused on that here at the MeidasTouch Network, of course. So here's what happened first thing this morning. The Trump administration issued a 60-day general waiver suspending U.S. sanctions on Iranian crude oil, petroleum, petrochemical products, and more, allowing Iran to sell its oil on the global market, including to the United States, through August 21st, 2026. The Treasury Department's OFAC general license authorizes related banking, insurance, shipping, and other transactions necessary to facilitate those sales, while excluding transactions involving Cuba, North Korea, and Russian-occupied regions in Ukraine. It is notable that based on my reading of the law, you require congressional approval to do this, because it also involves Iran's nuclear program, but Donald Trump doesn't ever respect the law, and MAGA Mike Johnson has turned our House of Representatives and Congress into the Russian Duma. So that's what's going on there. As Javier Blas, he's been really good covering this. He writes, crucially, the general license not only allows importers of Iranian oil to pay Tehran, including via previously sanctioned entities, but also to do so in U.S. dollars. For 60 days at least, Washington is allowing Tehran back into the dollar club to repatriate its petrodollars, and this rolls back 40 years plus of American oil sanctions to Iran. This will likely turn Iran into one of the wealthiest nations in the world, and I think we will start to see, and we are seeing already this morning, Iran take advantage of that. They've been prepared. They've had a plan, and we have seen lots of tankers, lots of those VLCCs leaving through the Strait of Hormuz now, but what we're really seeing, the majority of them, Iranian tankers, VLCCs, Chinese-linked tankers, and even Iran's top energy executive who was in Switzerland for these negotiations said as of yesterday, Iran had been able to transfer and get out of the Strait of Hormuz over 25 million barrels. We believe that number is going to become closer to 40 million barrels. Now, Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi, actually hailed the Switzerland talks as making major progress, although he makes very clear with respect to the reciprocal obligations owed to the United States, any of the benefits flowing to the United States, that comes later. Specifically, once Israel leaves Lebanon and once there is a true ceasefire in Lebanon. So the way Iran structured this deal, starting with Article 1, is that the U.S. has to go commitment for commitment, and the U.S. needs to pass a series of tests, and then Iran will unlock later the benefits that flow to the U.S., which basically it's what's in the JCPOA originally under the Obama deal to let the IAE inspectors in for Iran to continue to enrich uranium, but downblend so it's not weapons grade. Again, everything in the JCPOA. And then, of course, we went to this catastrophic and unlawful war in the first place, which we shouldn't have done. And also, I think Iran realizes, look, let's get our benefits right now, which basically negates the whole purpose of the U.S. blockade. Let Iran make all of this money. And Iran figures Israel's never going to leave Lebanon. Donald Trump is incapable of keeping his word or following through with the deal. So let's extract our benefits immediately. Let's continue to do that. And then inevitably, Israel's going to breach and Trump will breach, but we will have gotten our benefits. I think that's the calculus. And I think, look, hope springs eternal. I think everybody hopes for peace, me included. But here's what Israel said this morning. Netanyahu posted a video message saying, the directive from me and the Minister of Defense in Israel is named Israel Katz, to the IDF is clear. We have not changed. Our forces in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or emerging threat against them or residents of the north. The IDF faces no restrictions in this guard. I stand behind them. The entire nation stands behind them. I remain firm in my position that we will stay in the so-called security zone. That's what they call it in Israel, in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the state of Israel. So Israel's saying, Donald, we will not comply with any of your deconfliction initiatives. We are staying in Lebanon. Then his national security minister, Ben-Gvir, says, the cost of giving in to international pressure is a heavy one. My position is, instead of ceasefire, we should attack Beirut. And he also said that he believes that there should be thousands of Lebanese mothers mourning, and that would make him happy, apparently. Here is what J.D. Vance said at a press conference earlier this morning about Donald Trump continuing to threaten to kill the Iranian negotiators. J.D. Vance is like, yo, I'm a millennial. We'd call this trash talking. Iran does some trash talking to us. Of course, you got to expect Donnie's going to trash talk you back by threatening to kill you and close the Strait of Hormuz and commit genocide. That's what we do in the United States. We do jokes in war and peace. LOL, JK. That's what the millennials do. This is what J.D. Vance really said. I mean, it's horrific. Let's play this clip.
Look, what we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the president of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the president is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the president of the United States is actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
Did you know that helping dolphins led to the first essential fatty acid discovery in over 90 years? It's called C15, and it's a total game changer for aging healthier. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered C15 while working with the U.S. Navy to improve the health of older dolphins. It turns out C15 is a foundational nutrient that actually strengthens our cells. Without it, we develop cellular fragility syndrome, a deficiency that affects 1 in 3 people worldwide, causing our cells to age faster. Fatty 15 repairs age-related damage and protects your cells from breaking down. It's actually shown to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3. By activating pathways that regulate sleep, mood, and metabolism, it helps you feel better now and stay stronger as you get older. In fact, 70% of customers report deeper sleep, calmer moods, and better energy within just 16 weeks. Because we're all aging, healthy aging needs to start now, and Fatty 15 is the science-backed way to do it. I'm a huge fan of Fatty 15, and I've personally felt the benefits. Fatty 15 was developed to support healthy aging for all, from kids to parents to grandparents. That's why award-winning Fatty 15 is now available as pure capsules, delicious apple mint gummies for teens and adults, and yummy berry blast gummies for kids. Fatty 15 is on a mission to support healthy aging for all, including all ages and stages of life. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Meidas and using code Meidas at checkout. Once again, that's 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Meidas and using code Meidas at checkout.
And then JD Vance said, I got another one for you. It's funny. You want to hear another joke? I was trying to call some of the nuclear inspectors last night. LOL, JK. And could you believe it? They were sleeping at 2 a.m. So we weren't really able to get some technical details in there. Okay. Everybody find this to be funny jokes? Here, play this clip.
Also, in terms of when we could see this entire conflict end, do you think this could end by the midterm elections?
Well, look, right now the conflict is in a ceasefire, and certainly our hope is that we get to the final deal and a permanent settlement. But right now, I think we've made great progress, and we should all celebrate that. In terms of when the nuclear inspectors are going to start, it's funny, we were trying to call some of the inspectors last night around 2 a.m. As you can expect, not many people were answering their phone at 2 a.m. I expect that will happen at the minimum this week. But we think even some of those conversations with the inspectors and with the IAEA could happen as soon as today. But I haven't checked in with our team since we made that 2 a.m. phone call to some of those inspectors.
And then JD Vance says, but let's talk about what we've done, like building a house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house. But we laid a successful foundation. I would say it may be like this, JD. It's kind of like building the Trump reflecting pool. You paint it blue, and then you say there's no algae. And then when there's problems, you blame the vandals. You blame Antifa. And JD, you may actually end up being the vandals and Antifa in this one. Here, let's play this clip.
We laid a very good foundation for a successful final deal. The final deal is the house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get to a good place for the American people.
But JD Vance says at the end of the day, we know that a ceasefire doesn't really mean a ceasefire. It just means less fire. And that's what JD Vance has to say. Let's play this clip right here.
2, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism for deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. As the President of the United States has himself said, sometimes these ceasefires just mean you're shooting a little bit less, but we wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies, and everybody else.
Now, going back to the reflecting pool for a moment, earlier today we saw significant law enforcement presence around the reflecting pool. The Trump regime has deputized about 44 different law enforcement agencies across the country to work around the clock in the reflecting pool. You see right over here, Matt Visor posts what the reflecting pool was looking like this morning. Joe Flood confirms the stench. Reflecting pools really smelling badly. Donald Trump posts the following message: of the many statues and fountains that we rebuilt, renovated, cleaned, and fixed, the only one that was vandalized was the reflecting pool, which is being taken care of ASAP. It's been given a 300-foot-long gash. Chemicals have been illegally placed in the water. And the beautiful new grass field has been destroyed with gigantic 8647 chemically carved into it, probably inspired by dirty cop James Comey. Please remember that there is a 10-year prison sentence for the destruction or even the attempted destruction of such things, which will be fully enforced. Thank you for your attention to this matter, DJT. Let's also not forget that yesterday, Donald Trump would not allow UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer to resign in dignity. Donald Trump had to basically box Starmer before Starmer gave his resignation this morning, which he did. This is what Donald Trump wrote yesterday. Keir Starmer will resign as Prime Minister. He failed badly on 2 very important subjects, immigration and energy. Open North Sea oil. I wish him well. DJT. And with the real issue that led to the no confidence, as we all know, there was a lot of issues, but the Epstein files and specifically enabling pedoprotectors in his government and then kind of covering it up was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. But Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in a typical British fashion, dignified, resigned with grace. Let's show you what went down. Let's play this clip.
I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer.
Now, Andy Burnham, many believe, will now become the leader of Labour and the new Prime Minister, although things could happen. There could be a contest, but we will see. He writes the following message, again, dignified, very British. It's good to see this. Keir has given a huge service to our country. I want to thank him for the leadership and dedication during such a challenging period. His decision marks the beginning of a transition, and it is important that this process is conducted in an orderly and responsible way. Two other points I want to make. Now the State Department is saying that Marco Rubio, who refused to show up in Switzerland during these critical negotiations, he'll instead be traveling to the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Bahrain. He'll be with the Gulf Cooperation Council countries to talk about shared priorities across the region. So notice he leaves it to J.D. Vance to actually have the discussions with Iran, which should be the role of the State Department, while he, on the periphery, deals with the GCC countries that were working with the United States in the invasion against Iran. And those countries were hit, obviously, very hard by Iran. And so I truly believe that Rubio works behind the scenes to sabotage the peace process. But I think that between Rubio and Trump and all these incompetent people, I want to give peace a chance. I don't want to give peace. I want peace. That's what I want. I want peace. I want this to work. But I just want to highlight the realities of also what's happening. And these realities are also reflecting with James Comer. He was on State Regime Newsmax this morning. And Newsmax was saying, it seems like the Qataris snubbed JD. Are they underestimating the power of the United States? And then James Comer's like, oh, they shouldn't underestimate our power. We do what we say and we say what we do. That Donald Trump does. Yeah, he's the strongest ever, man. Yeah. Here's what James Comer says. Let's play it.
Congressman, I looked at some of the video of the peace talks, and even J.D. Vance, the vice president, as he's walking in, the Qatari minister snubbed him. I don't know if you saw that viral video. There's this kind of body language that they're exuding, that they think they're the ones in control here. Are they underestimating the power of the United States, the power of President Trump, the FAFO when it comes to Trump, that he says what he means and he means what he says? You just heard Senator Lindsey Graham talking about obliteration. President Trump on Easter Sunday saying that he would do away with their civilizations. Are they not comprehending that the president is not Joe Biden?
If Iran underestimates President Trump, they will do that to their own peril, because I think what we've seen over the 6 years of the Trump presidency is that he does what he says. And I think that, again, it's important that people like Lindsey Graham and others in the Senate get President Trump's back when he says, look, we're going to go do whatever it takes to reopen the strait and to ensure that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Because I think Iran's sitting back watching MSNBC and reading the New York Times thinking, oh, we've got them here, we're winning this war. And that's not what's happening. And I'm really happy that President Trump sent Vice President Vance over there. I think he has the right disposition. He's very intelligent. He's a great student of history, and he's negotiating from a position of strength, and the strength has already been demonstrated with our United States military, as well as a commander-in-chief that will do whatever it takes to win this war.
All right. Thank you.
There you have it, everybody. Let me know what you think about all of this. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.